according to you, during the session, are the most efficient interaction tools or tips?
Well, I'm going to go into an engagement tool first, because I think you first have to be engaging before you can be interactive. And for the listeners, if you want to see if you are really being engaging or interactive, is take a transcript of your presentation and note how many times you said the word I, me, and mine versus you, yours, or the plural of that, which would be we and ours. Check out how many times you're saying the I and the me. That is all about me, the speaker, which is a speaker-centric speech, versus you, the listener, or about us, which is a more collaborative stance. Yeah, sure. And if you are speaking less than 2-to-1, inclusive versus it's all about me, then I think you got some work to do. Right. And it's a subtle switch, and I don't really think people really realize it at a conscious level, but at a subconscious level, people really do recognize when are you making it all about yourself and when is it all about the audience. Yeah. In fact, if you listen to Obama's speech that he said that we caught Osama bin Laden, interestingly enough, his whole speech pattern changed from being very inclusive. I mean, Obama really does embrace the whole inclusive language type of idea. When he announced that the United States had caught Osama bin Laden, there were more I's and me than he has had, ratio-wise, than he's ever had in any of his speeches, which is just fascinating from my perspective.
And how do you explain that?
Well, I think he wanted to make it about him. Oh. You know, that it was his decision and that he's taking credit for this.
Interesting. I missed it.
It's just different. And I'm not saying it's a right or a wrong, but it's a compare and contrast about being very intentional about the words that you use.
So we are speaking about tips for interaction. And are there practical, technical tools?
Oh, absolutely. When you're I'm thinking about 90 different techniques, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to start, Dan.
Well, anyhow,
one of my favorites is just to ask a really interesting, provocative question. Just to get people starting to think. And as a speaker, you can do one of two things. You can answer the question, which makes it a rhetorical question. You put the question out there, you pause, and you answer the question. Or you can put the question out there and let the audience respond. And they might respond by a comment, that you might ask them to take a poll where they put their hand up or they, do something that you've asked them to do so that you can get a sense for what the audience is thinking. So that's how it shifts from being engaging as a rhetorical question. If you want involvement, you open it up. You allow people to respond to that question.
But the risk is the silence in the room. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so here's what's really funny, Dan, is that we train our audiences about how to respond. So if you have been talk for 10 minutes, and I saw, who did I see? I saw Tony Robbins do this. If you watch TED Talks, TED.com, you'll see some great presentations for, none of them last more than 18 minutes. Tony Robbins got 21, by the way. He talked for like the first 10 minutes, and then he posed a question to the audience and expected them to answer back. Well, the audience didn't because they had been sitting there for 10 minutes already. And he actually said, and I know that you've heard this, Dan, he said, now's the time for interaction.
Okay. Just to tell you.
And so then the audience then figured, oh, okay, I'm supposed to answer this.
Yeah, just to tell you.
So if you are looking at involving the audience, send them the signals early on that this is going to be more of a conversation. This is going to be more fun. This is going to be, this is going to have a different feel to it. Otherwise, you are going to find yourself saying, and now's time for the interaction part.
Yeah, it's also something like a Pavlov thing, that you have always the same gimmick when you ask them to interact, so that at the end it's like a reflex from them.
Right, right. And your interaction technique should be variable. You should use all kinds of different techniques throughout your speech. If you're constantly polling people, how many of you believe, you're just not going to get the same kind of interaction that you'd like.
What is your second technique for interaction?
Another one that I like to do, and I would call it a signature interaction. So whatever your speech is, that you come up with something that you think involves the audience and is unique to you. And this takes a little bit of time for you to find out what that is. But if let's say,
like
you're...
Or something like that?
Pardon me?
Like a baseline or something like that?
Like something that is unique to your topic, to you, your style, that gets the audience involved. It might be to interview a participant, or it might be a game, or it might be it could be a role play. It could be, and there's a whole bunch of different things that you do, but that you figure out something that maybe involves a prop, or maybe involves a gift or a prize, or something that people go, oh, that demonstrated what her key point was, or that really was memorable. Because the real key, at the end of the day, Dan, when people walk out of your presentation, you want to know what's on their lips. What are they saying about you and your presentation? If what they're saying isn't in line with what it is that you want them to do as a result of that presentation, all of this is for naught.